And we are recording right down here in the crossbow workbench area. Here I've got a few things that are going to be coming up on future videos. Lumenok arrows. I'm going to try those out. These are arrows made by the Burt Coyote Lumenok company. So we'll try those out. They have the right veins and all that good stuff. I think they'll fly really good out of the SWAT X1. We'll see how they fly. The right nocks and everything. I also have a fast tool here from Lumenok. This is the fletched arrow squaring tool. And I've cut off arrows before to modify them to get them to work out of Genevieve's crossbow. Bunjie Jr. needs those 16.5-inch arrows, the shorter length, right? And I've taken 20-inch arrows, cut them down, put in new heavier inserts, that sort of thing. And a bunch of you commented on how you didn't like my squaring method, cutting them off with a Dremel tool and then squaring them. This will help me get a perfect edge. You really do need a perfect edge. Arrow integrity is very important. That is not lost on me. I totally understand that. I like, arrows that come to me all fixed and ready to go. Even these Eastons, for example, are very durable arrows, held up very well out of the OB over the years. But the SWAT, what arrows are we going to shoot out of that? What arrows? I shoot zombies right now, the Zombie Slayers, 563 total grain weight out of the OB. Genevieve has her hodgepodge ProFlight arrows that she shoots out of Bunjie Jr. We shoot the stock Deathstalker arrows out of B3. But what arrow will we put these wonderful Burt Coyote Lumenoks in? These are HD orange Burt Coyote Lumenoks, 30% brighter. And man, I got to tell you, I love the Lumenoks, right? I did a video on this and I mean it 100%. These are a product that I can tell you that since I've started using them, I've dabbled with other products, but I always come back to the Burt Coyote Lumenok. Simplicity. Boy, I love it. These are the GTC nocks set up for the arrows for the SWAT X1. It's got that sort of crescent shape. Same as these. These have the GTCs pre-installed. Ooh. But what arrows? What arrows are we going to put them in? I have a case right here of arrows, and on that case is written Dragon Claws. Ooh, I'm pretty excited about that. I hope you're excited about it. Dragon Claws are from another company that I like and trust, right? Wyvern Creations. And you have seen me talk about Wyvern Creations. You've heard me talk about them before. And these are their custom arrows. They're Black Eagle Executioner shafts with the Dragon Claw logo on them. The vanes on these, you've got the shield style vanes, low profile, more so, longer, low profile. Better for the SWAT X1. It really likes those. These look and appear to be a 1 degree offset at most. That's about what I want. I'm told people can get away with a little bit more of an offset in the SWAT X1 barrel, but that AccuTac barrel really does like pretty much a straight vane. You really don't need the added twist on your vane to right the arrow because it should be coming out of that crossbow pretty straight. Slow motion footage makes it look like it's coming out of there pretty straight. It makes it look like it works, like that barrel is doing something. I'm pretty happy with it. So we're going to put these in there and try them out. In the SWAT X1, the cock vane goes up, but we got to line our nocks up with that so that when you put them in, slide them down the barrel. And with these kinds of crossbows, anytime you're using this kind of nock, you got to give it a reality check. Before you put it in there, you got to look and make sure it looks right? So we'll do that, and then we're going to test them and see how they fly. These are the Lumenoks you want. They do check, the box is the same for all of them, and you'll notice that they have the different ones checked to make sure you got the right one for your crossbow. You do that by going to the nock selector tool on lumenok.com, and you'll find the correct nock. It's wonderful. It's perfect. So do that. And to get them out of here, you can cut them out individually one by one. I normally do, that's what I do, because I'm using them one at a time, but here I'm doing all dozens. So we're going to cut these right out of here all at once because I got a dozen Dragon Claws and I need a dozen Burt Coyote Lumenoks. So we'll get them all out of there like this. I would save one of the packages too if you ever want to read the stuff. It's very interesting what they do for you on here, and it's a really interesting company, and they have the battery instructions on here. So read the instructions. If you're not familiar with it, you should do that. How do you turn them off? All that stuff is on here. Please read. Stuff you must know. Please read. All kinds of good stuff on here. So read that. And in fact, I'm going to set that aside because I'm going to read that later on. Now for this to work, what we're going to do, all we got to do is get this nock out of here, the one that's in there already. We can maybe do that with this. See if we can pull it out of there. This is an old Lumenok tool that I have, and it seems to be pulling it out of there. I like these because they have the rubber grips on the pliers, okay? And if you can get a pair of these, the Lumenok ones, there's also an extinguisher you can use that is in my backpack. I would show that to you, but it's like a rubber hose that does essentially the same thing, but you can grip that very well with that as well. So the extinguisher from Lumenok, another great tool. This will set aside. I'm going to put these in a baggie and keep them with my Dragon Claw packaging, but I won't be using them most likely in the future. Couple little notes here. We've got how these things work. It's just going to slide in there, and it should be the right fit for that shaft. Shouldn't be a problem because, and it goes right in there, because these shafts, as you can see right here, Dragon Claw arrows, they're made by Black Eagle. So this shaft diameter, pretty consistent, pretty easy on the nocks selector tool to figure out which one it is, okay? So it wasn't too hard to get the right size Lumenok for these shafts. It should work no problem. But we just got to line up this so that it's lined up with this, if that makes any sense. So what we got to do is get it on there, then we'll push it down. We're going to push it right in. And if it's really hard to push in, like this went in perfect, right? You want some tension so it don't fall out of there, right? You want some tension. But if it's going in there and it's a real struggle, then you might have to take a nail file, right? Clean one of these little ridges down, or all of them down a little bit so it goes in there smooth. But with good arrows, right, if you get the right size, and if the arrow shaft is consistent, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. For the most part, I don't have too much problem with that. Then what we do is we look at it and sort of look down. I'm looking down the arrow shaft here to make sure that I line that nock up straight with that cockbane, and I did. Now, these are going to go in like this. They're going to go in with the cockbane up on the SWAT X1, but it should, once that's done, I can be confident the string will go in there, push this in, light it, send it down range, and we are good to go. All right, we did pretty good here. I think we got a dozen Dragon Claws all decked out with the Burt Coyote Lumenoks, ready to go see how they're going to fly out of the SWAT X1. That's quite a collection of Oracle X boxes, isn't it? Black Eagle Dragon Claw arrow, 150 grain field point, Burt Coyote Lumenok, total weight 498.6. That is one beefed up arrow. Getting heavier by the second. If I can sneak one through there, and if the chronograph wants to cooperate. Listen to this quiet safety. Are you ready? Didn't even hear it, did you? All right, should be far enough back. I'm just going to eyeball it. Hopefully we hit that target. Boom, we did. 350 on the nose. Tiny little crossbow. Looks even smaller compared to my giant slippers. But the cool thing about it, you got that little stand, that stirrup works as a stand. We can stand it up, get it rope cocked here. We can open this up, put that in the slot, drop this down here like this. Boom, boom. And then keep it in there tight. Get where we can stand up and just stand up with her until that little red lever comes back. And then I slide these down and take them out, put that off on the side, close this. We've double checked to make sure that safety is on. And now you have a cocked crossbow. Double check your nock, make sure that's lined up nice. Slide that in there like that. Ta-da! And hit our little lever right down here. Watch this.
That's my favorite part.
Ready to go. Deathbybunjie.com. People keep asking me, what tripod do you recommend or whatever. I got some write-ups on here. Different crossbows like different ones. The straight foregrip really fits well in a Bog Deathgrip, and I love it. People are worried about, well, you got to unscrew it and all that stuff. To get it out of here, you just loosen this up, give it a quick spin, lift the crossbow out. When you go to put it back in, just line it up, get it where you want it, and then tighten it down. It's a piece of cake with this thing. I love it. It's kind of rubberized on the inside of these grips, so it grips your crossbow real nice, but doesn't do any damage. And you know, and it holds it. I mean, when you figure out what each one of these little things does, there's another dial over here, another knob to spin, and then there's this knob here. When you figure all that stuff out, it holds it perfect. Like, you're not doing the jittery thing where you're wandering, scope wandering, and you can't tell if you're going to hit it or not. There's none of that, man. You're looking down this thing, and it is locked on. You really don't even need your left hand on the crossbow. You just need to pull the trigger. That's it. If you're left-handed, you'll want your left hand on the trigger, but so we're going to shoot at 20 and see how we're doing there. If I can get my head on here, yeah, I'll be able to do that. That is a good tight for that stand. And the nice thing about the Bog Deathgrip, I can let go and look, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I can go in the house. I can go have coffee and then come back and it'll still be here. Isn't that a good looking crossbow? Look at that. We're a little bit high, but dead on. I like that. We're just dealing with the up and down because I'm going to drop that down and see if the next shot is dead on. So to do that, we just turn this little screw a little bit. We're going to loosen it. And then there's an up and down. It's not so bad on this one, but this one's on the front. Especially on this crossbow, it's a pain in the neck because the barrel gets in the way, that enclosed barrel. But we want to go the opposite of up. We want to go down. And I'm going to turn it a little bit. And then I'm just going to tighten it up. And we're going to cock this crossbow, shoot it again, and see if we can get this dialed in at 20. You got to spend some time on 20, right? Really spend some time on it and get 20 dialed in perfectly. If you do that, it makes a big difference down the road at the longer distances. I mean, doesn't it look awesome on there? It's just a great setup for a crossbow. This scope really is meant for this crossbow. At this point, I have chosen this equipment. If it breaks down, now it's on me, right? So I am committed to doing the absolute best I can to get this scope to work, not just on this crossbow, but on the other crossbows. The range finding concept of a scope where it gives you one reticle with precise yardage. I'm spoiled now. It has worked for me. The technology allowed me to kill a deer on state game lands. I'm very proud of that. That was a tough shot, tough hunt, tough series of hunts, but it really worked out great in the end, and the scope certainly did its job on B3. The OB likes that scope, right? The slower your crossbow is, the more you like the exact yardage because the arc is greater. And that crossbow, holy cow, that scope is meant for that crossbow, custom made. And a woodchuck at 81 yards, what more do you want, right? You aren't gonna do better than that, right? Or are you? I don't know. This crossbow remains to be seen what we can do with this crossbow scope combination. So I'm committed to this. You folks that you saw me get it out of my system, right? I, apologize if I hurt anybody's feelings, but really only hurt my own, right? But at least we can move on. Hopefully this is, I'm committed to making it work. So we'll see how it goes this season. Really getting the hang of that slow motion video. The phone, man, I'm telling you, when stuff works, it's so awesome, right? I have actually had a problem with the phone too. I'm not going to go into it. We're moving on. This is a positive video, a very positive video about a very positive addition to the Death by Bunjie family of crossbows, isn't it? So this one was low, so I basically turned it too far. I'm going to loosen up the Allen wrench, turn it back up a couple of clicks here, sort of dial it in the middle of where I was, and play around with it and dial it in at 20. Genevieve is going to show us how to crank the SWAT X1.
If I can figure it out again.
She's only ever done it once.
Yeah.
So kind of a work in progress. We put that in there. Then with the handle off, push that forward. Push that forward, pull those strings right out, give yourself enough stringage that you're going to need. And we'll put those on the hookies. Hooks on the string. Put them on the strings. Make sure they're not on the cables.
Not up in here, yeah. I have a feeling that would be bad.
Make sure they're on there doing what they're supposed to do. Tight against the rail, of course, the barrel.
Yep.
And get that stirrup where you want it.
Yep. And then we're on fire.
And we're going to watch that little red dude. And now it is on. So what you're going to do...
Yep, safety's on.
Very good. Push forward with your
this
thumb.
This part scares me.
You're all right. You're just going to crank it a little bit more, just until it will turn back. And then those will pop right out of there. Self-removing.
There we go.
That isn't my favorite thing in the world, but... If you're going to crank things, you got to crank things, right?
I noticed you flinched when it creaked, and I'm like, this ain't nothing I haven't dealt with before.
It's just not seated right, or what? It's got
any number of things,
over
Dad.
time, that'll like it a lot more, but who knows? But that is the world of cranking crossbows. You okay with that?
Oh, yeah. Red up on this one.
Yes. We're just going to drop her down the barrel. Keep your fingers out of the way, drop it right in there, and then work that little switch. And it drops in there perfect.
That's
got
cool.
It pointed down range, nice and safe. Then we're going to She'll put it right in the Bog Deathgrip there. Make sure you're missing the remote. Looks
Doesn't
like
fit too bad here.
No, it fits good, I think. Crank that right down tight so you're not going to lose it if you're nervous about it.
Oh, we're good.
And Genevieve's going to take another shot down range. She already shot once and showing everybody up here, 45 yards or whatever it is. Shooting good.
Can I shoot the far one?
Yeah.
How far is that one? Let's
60.
find out.
Range it and tell me first. Don't shoot yet.
Yeah. 62.
62. All right. Let me see if I can do a slow-mo video. Well, it took a few more shots than I would have liked, but we've dialed it in perfect at 20. We're hitting a dead-on bullseye. Really, you should shoot a group, right? You shoot a few more, make sure it's staying there. But I've shot enough 6 arrows to make sure that it's dead on. That's good enough. I'm pretty happy with that. This is now dialed in at 20. I'll reach out to, I think I've got 35, 45, and 62 or something like that set out in front of me. So I'll true it to those yardages and we'll go from there. I'm actually going to reset this scope and start from scratch. I just restart. It's actually easier to, if you got the targets all set up, it's easier just to reset it. Start all over. And that way you know that this beautiful crossbow, this beautiful setup is dialed in perfect right from scratch. Wyvern Creations, the Dragon Claw arrows all shot the same. That was awesome. And they all accepted a Burnt Coyote Lumenok very easily. I hope that you are as excited about the upcoming crossbow seasons as I am. Until next time, all hail Bunjie. And all hail this yet unnamed crossbow.